Welcome to another episode of OG55. I got George the Italiano and theme park conductor giving George some competition with his beard. Look at
I
that.
am.
He absolutely is. We have a lot to discuss today. We're talking Magic Happens, Haunted Mansion. We're talking Moana, attraction patents. We're talking Epic Universe ticketing. We're talking all kinds of stuff on this episode of OG55 with the Italiano and conductor up next. Choo choo. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG 55. I have a fantastic panel with me today. We got the Italiano and we got conductor in the house. The Italiano, what do you got playing behind us right now? Behind you right now?
Yeah, it's the very first episode of the Imagineering story.
Awesome. I saw our buddy Bob Iger, man. I got to call him, man. I need to get my special access this week. I don't know what's going on.
He's slipping, man.
You know, I'm telling you. No, but George, if you can let everybody know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You could find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And before you move on to conductor, just a quick note, at the time of this recording, I just wanted to make the sadly announcement that producer John Landau had passed away due to, I believe it was cancer, yesterday, July 5th, just shy of 18 days of his 64th birthday. So he was a pioneer. I mean, he worked with James Cameron for 27 years. Yeah. And at the tender age of 29, he worked out at 20th Century Fox, where he essentially met James on the production of True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they just always had a great partnership, a camaraderie. And James asked him to help him on Titanic, and they just kind of set sailed. No pun intended. Ever since, but just want to say thoughts and prayers go out to his family during this difficult time.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, George. Yeah, that did break earlier today. Really, really sad news for the film community and even the park community. You know, he was working. We talked about it. He was part of the process for this new Pandora that we're getting here in Anaheim and things like that. I think he was involved in even Animal Kingdom's Pandora, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm, correct. Yeah, he was there for the lift of the gravel ceremony, like the first shovel of dirt. He was there with the shovels and everything. So he was a very hands-on type of person, like with films and even in the parks. Like he worked with Cameron like simultaneously through all these projects. And the film industry definitely lost a shining star for sure.
Well said. Conductor, welcome to the show, sir. It's good to see you.
Good to see you guys. Good to be back. And I'm making George jealous. I could see his eyes twinkling a little bit. But everyone can find me on YouTube, on Instagram at Theme Park Conductor. Also, you can find me on Twitter at Theme Conductor. And every Thursday, I do my Conductor Thursday live stream where we have a couple topics we talk about. And then the rest of the show is a Q&A, so definitely join on that on Thursdays at 7 p.m. You know, again, I want to say on my live streams, everybody's welcome. Everybody is open for comments, questions, concerns. As long as you make it respectful, I'm here to answer your questions.
Yeah, he's great. Conductor is awesome. He's a friend of ours here on the channel. I am very active in his live chat. When he does his Conductor Thursdays, I'm there. He does a great show. He recently, I think like a week ago, he had the one and only Michael Webber.
Good.
You know, on his show. I'm gonna be on one of his Conductor Thursdays for sure. But make sure you go and you subscribe to him. I'm gonna link his YouTube in the description down below. So make sure you give him a follow and show Conductor some love. He's OG55 family. So check him out.
Do you know what really pisses me off is just how well your beard just sits. Like,
Oh God.
I'm telling you,
gee,
George.
Hey, the way this is going, I think we have to make a separate video just about the beard talk.
We'll do a live show on that. That's important.
There we go. Perfect.
We'll go like 3 hours on it, at least. At least. All right, here we go, gentlemen. First topic of the day, magic happens, or maybe it's not going to be happening pretty soon. We'll see. But this is from Disneyland News Today. Rumor, magic happens, ending 2024 season early amid the Disneyland entertainment cuts. The Magic Happens parade at Disneyland may have its 2024 season cut short and amid the cost-cutting entertainment cancellations throughout the resort. It says here, the rumored date, the end date for the parade is August 22nd. A short cavalcade of characters would then perform daily before a Christmas fantasy parade returns for the holiday season on November 15th. Earlier this year, Club Pixar performances were canceled 2 months before the end of Pixar Fest in Avengers Campus. The Doctor Strange show closed at the end of June. Disneyland later confirmed they were limiting performances of Warriors of Wakanda, the disciples of the Dara Milaje. I hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong. I do apologize if I am. And Citizens of Buena Vista Street, Avengers Assemble, and Guardians of the Galaxy Awesome Dance-Off performances scheduled on only select days of the week. So this is really sad news. Here, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this, you guys. I've said it many times. I'm not like a super ride guy. Like when I go to these parks, I'm an atmosphere guy. Okay. So I like to go, I like to soak things in. The entertainment is part of that atmosphere. George and I, we were recently at the parks just a few weeks ago. We had an absolute ball with Magic Happens. We were rocking out on the parade route. We met that lovely lady, right? And we were dancing with her. We were having a really, really good time. This is an amazing parade with an incredible energy. Absolutely. It's really contagious. This is terrible. Now, again, this is rumor. It's, a big rumor, but man, I hope it's false, dude, because this is such a great element at this park right now. And it's, God, man. I mean, all these entertainment cuts are really disappointing. What are your thoughts, George? And then I'll go down to conductor.
Assuming that if this rumor does come to fruition or what have you, I do feel that it would completely suck if it ends sooner rather than later. But due to the fact that it was going to end at some point, it would just be ending early. Kind of gives me that vibe of what they usually do, like with the electrical parade. They always say that it's going away and then it comes back. And then it's going away and it comes back. I feel like that's what they're doing, even just like with all these parades, not even just that parade in particular, because we're starting to kind of see a pattern with the parades, and it's actually even the fireworks. I mean, look how they did with Wondrous Journey, where they brought it back for a short period of time right after the 100th celebrate Disney 100. And who knows, we might be seeing that again for a short period of time, and then they'll take it away. That's what it seems like Disney's MO is. It's like they bring things on for a limited engagement, and then they take it away, and then they bring it back.
Isn't it? Okay, if I'm doing my math right, which I suck at math, I always have. If I'm doing my math right, the 2025 is Disneyland's 70th anniversary, correct?
Correct.
So this ends in August. They're going to do the cavalcade until the Christmas parade.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time that's done, we're into 2025, which is the start, I would assume, probably soon, of Disneyland's 70th anniversary celebrations. We might get an announcement at D23. It's only in a month, of a 70th anniversary parade of some sort. And that's why this is retiring early. To be fair, look, Disneyland has seen a shit ton, pardon the French, of entertainment cuts. And it really does. I hate that. I hate it because I love the entertainment, But this one in particular, I'm wondering if it's connected to the 70th because of the timing. I could be wrong. OG is speculating, but what do you think, conductor? What are your thoughts on this possibly ending in 2024 or pretty soon?
So my thinking is, if the rumor is true, why are they cutting it so early? Because if they are reporting that the Christmas parade won't start until November the 15th, right?
Correct,
And supposedly at D23, we might hear some new shows. Obviously decor, hopefully better than Disney 100 for at least Disneyland, coming for the 70th birthday of Disneyland. You would want to seriously believe that Magic Happens would go all the way to November, even if Daddy Josh announces something at D23 about some updates to Magic Happens, right?
That's fair.
So you would think that the show would keep running along all the way at least until the mid of October, if not the end of October. At least get it close to that point.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Conductor. Because what you're saying, also, we could both. Maybe it's both things, right? Like maybe they're getting a new 70th parade, which is why they're canceling this one. But they're also doing it to save money because they're taking it offline sooner than they have to. But go ahead. I do apologize.
Well, no, I was just saying, and I'm glad you said that, because maybe they are trying to save money. But if they're trying to save money, why cut off a lot of the entertainment? We're just not talking about Disneyland. We're talking about DCA as well. Because the one thing that's going on right now in SoCal is the heat. Everyone hates the heat. I don't care who you are. Mm-hmm. Everyone hates the heat. Everyone doesn't like waiting in long lines. I preferably don't, especially in the hot sun. And what better way to kind of relax than watching a show? That's kind of what you pay for when you go to the Disney parks.
Thank you. Exactly.
And it goes with Universal as well. Universal's not out of the equation. You pay to get into these theme parks, not only for the rides, don't get me wrong, but also for the entertainment. And if Disney's coming out and cutting all these shows to save money, it makes me wonder what other things. It kind of scares me when I heard that they were cutting the shows, especially in Avengers Campus. Okay, we've all heard about the employee strikes and the union and all that nonsense going on, and then we all of us have been so concerned about what they will announce, what will be concrete at D23. Now they're showing evidence of cutting this show, which is a fan favorite, not only in mine, but you guys and everybody else. They're cutting it short. Then they kind of went lackluster on the Disney 100 decorations. So it really makes me wonder what decorations or decor they're going to do for the 70th birthday of Disneyland, and what shows they are going to bring back online and what shows they aren't. So it's very concerning to me.
Oh, me too. I would agree. Go ahead, George.
I'm gonna add something into that as well too. Now, I'm not giving Disney a pass on this because we really don't know. It's horrible however you spin it, because yes, we are paying a full-on premium charge for these tickets, so we want to get our bang for our buck. We want to be able to experience as much as we possibly can, whether it's with a ride, whether it's with a show, another kind of a form of attraction or what have you. But I also think too, and I could be going like way out of the box on this, but now I don't know how it kind of plays into with Magic Happens, but for some of the entertainment that was also mentioned, that a lot of that includes entertainment from DCA. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that also comes from Avengers Campus, with Doctor Strange, with Wakanda, with the Guardians of the Galaxy Dance Party. So that makes me wonder if that has something to do with a lot of the operations that things may have to be kind of configured for that possible new e-ticket that's coming in. We don't really know how that's going to go as far as with a queue line goes, because if you think when Avengers Campus came online, we were supposed to get that attraction several years ago, and it got put on hold, it got delayed, it got honestly downright canceled. At some point, and then they shelved it, brought it back online. So we don't really know how the aspects of that land was supposed to be with that e-ticket. So now they have to configure that, and also with Disneyland Forward, with Avengers Campus being connected to Hollywoodland, And like right off of where Mission Breakout is, we don't really know what is to become of Hollywoodland.
Yeah, that's a great point. You bring up great points, George. And you're not giving Disney the pass. You're just offering a possibility, which and it's a fair possibility. I mean, if you look at the Doctor Strange location of that show, and we talked about it when we were at the parks recently, a few weeks ago.
Yes.
We were sitting there at Pim's looking at it.
Mhm.
It's not too far from where they're putting the e-ticket. It's possible that'll be extended queue or queue area for the new attraction, and that's why they're shutting it down. That's a huge possibility. Like we always say here on the channel, it's not always this nefarious thing. There are sometimes things that we're not aware of, right? And that goes for all these companies, absolutely. And then one thing I do want to also ask you, Conductor, because you're a Universal guy, and I kind of want to pick your brain on this because I'm not, honestly, full disclosure, I'm not as privy to the Universal stuff, and you very much are. And I'm asking this question because I actually have a bigger point to make. Are we seeing any cuts at Universal in terms of entertainment right now, or has it been pretty standard for them?
So I haven't seen personally any cuts. The one show we have is still very much going, which is Waterworld.
What about like the Streetmosphere stuff, like that?
So like Shrek and Fiona, they don't come out all the time. For example, Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, because they usually wander around Parisian Courtyard, around Mel's Diner, that area, Front Street. I don't see them that often. The Raptor encounter down below, the Raptor still does come out, but the times are pushed back. Same thing with the Transformers. I don't know if it's due to just the inclement weather, because I can only imagine wearing a costume and it's 102 outside, or it's them cutting back because of, we've all heard about the roller coaster. We're seeing it getting built. It is delayed by 6 months. They had some issues, doing surveys and trying to level the ground, and there were pushbacks and whatnot. And every company has that. I don't care who it is: Disney, Universal, Knott's, Six Flags. Well, Knott's and Six Flags under Cedar Fair now. Congratulations, by the way. All these companies, when they build an attraction, they always have setbacks. So as far as I know, Universal hasn't, but I can't say for sure that they haven't.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, that's fair. And the only reason I'm asking is because I'm trying to get a kind of a grasp at like what's happening. Like, is it like maybe like a theme park industry thing in Southern California right now that's there, like these companies are expecting a downturn? Or is it more of a Disney kind of thing where there's something going on with Disney? And that's the only reason I ask, like I would be just as forgiving of Universal or question why maybe certain things are closing and whatnot. But I'm curious because I've been hearing rumblings, murmurings. What is it? Murmurings? I don't know. of a slowdown this summer for the theme parks, in the Southern California parks. So that's why I was kind of curious, but
so to answer that question from what I think it is. So a lot of people that work in the industry, whether it's the movie industry, whether it's the theme park industry, or any company for that matter, I could say pretty confidently that California itself has some of the most ridiculous, strict rules when it comes to companies and labor unions and all sorts of stuff. We've seen it with the movie studios, how they battled back and forth for what seemed like almost a year, and they're still working out issues. And then now you're seeing it in the theme park. So it could have something to do with that.
Absolutely. And we've even seen it at Disneyland Resort, the unions and the reason why we don't have the bagless security checks is, from what I'm hearing, is because the unions push back on it. The unions push back on it because it would eliminate jobs. And I understand that. I don't want to see anyone lose their job. But there's also like, hey, for the consumer, like the guest, it would be kind of nice to have a little bit more of a smoother process. So you have to kind of balance this a little bit. But yeah,
as long as it doesn't give me a headache, I couldn't give two shits.
Well, yeah, no, exactly.
I'm playing. No, it's like it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's like
Exactly.
it's like someone is going to end up losing their job over the convenience to the guest, or the guest has to go through a little bit more of a hassle in
Yeah.
order for someone to keep their job. You
Yeah,
know, it's
exactly.
like,
Exactly.
I mean, I personally can say, I think as an operation standpoint, I think it's a mess. I'm not going to lie, it really is. I just wish that they can kind of come up with a compromise where it's like no one will lose their job, but still able to have a smoother transition, because they're going to have to do that, because with Disneyland Forward,
Right.
as time progresses, yeah, we're seeing a downturn now, but in time, I think, that's all going to change. And I think, honestly, more people, the floodgates will open and more people will show up. So they're going to have to kind of, I would hope that they would kind of nip that in the butt now while they do have a slower season.
Yeah, exactly. Because this stuff ebbs and flows. You're gonna have slower seasons than others. They're not. They're not opening anything new this summer at all. I mean, Tiana's ain't gonna be open. It's just Pixar Fest. So they probably are anticipating a slow summer. And but like you said, George, with this Disneyland Forward stuff, who knows what they're going to announce at D23? In a few years from now, we might be seeing a huge uptick in attendance. So why not plant the seeds now? Kind of prepare for it. And maybe they will. We'll see. But it's very, very interesting. But speaking of construction, that brings us to our next topic, which is, now this is again a big rumor. This is from DisneyDining.com. And I believe WDWNT also reported on this rumor. I just want to be fair to them as well. It says here that fans are abuzz on Reddit that Disney is currently in the process of removing the hanging corpse seen in the stretching room before guests board the ride. Haunted Mansion's disembodied ghost host points out that as the room has no doors or windows, it has no way out. Of course, he adds, there's always my way with the lighting. Okay, we all know the scene. I don't need to go, verbally. But anyway, it says here that there have been rumors that Disney will remove this effect from the attraction in order to be more sensitive and not trivialize suicide. Some guests complain that this scene feels particularly triggering, with petitions even set up in the past. It says here, Disney's aware of these complaints. Back in 2021, Michelle Hobbs, who worked as a producer for Disney Imagineering and previously managed a refurb on the attraction, told LA Times that the scene's removal has been discussed for sure and is definitely something that we're thinking about. Okay, here is the thing. I'm honestly kind of torn on this. I got to be honest with you. I have a loved one who has struggled a lot with mental health. Okay. And like that, you know what I'm saying? And I can see the point here with this, that like, it is, I don't want to say trivializing it, but it is sort of, I don't even really want to say glorifying it, but it just feels a little bit in bad taste. It does. Right. But at the same time, it's a haunted mansion. It's going to be kind of this darker kind of vibe. So it's like, I'm kind of like, what do? You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know what to think of this. I would prefer, I don't know. I think I would prefer it to stay, to be quite honest with you. But I understand at least the perspective of like, hey, for people that are really struggling and not in a good place, this might be something that kind of triggers them. I don't know, man. I don't really know where to sort of place my thoughts on this, because I can kind of see both sides of the argument. That's kind of where I'm at right now. You know what I'm saying? But what do you think, George?
So for me, I completely agree. I feel for people that, have mental health issues or are sick or have thought of or attempted to try, something of that nature. I do feel for them, and anyone that feels that way, seek help immediately. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. Just your life is worth more than you think. So I just have to point that out there. However, as far as the attraction goes, again, I can't definitely understand people's feelings towards it. But again, you would then have to go back and look at everything under a microscope and say, well, okay, if this is going to offend somebody, how does someone, now they were in talks about changing up the bride. Now, I don't know if they were changing the bride under the circumstance because she is being kind of noticed as a murderer, you know, because you see like the portraits of her and her husbands, you know, and how it shows her wielding a hatchet, you know, and so I don't know if they're going to change her because of that aspect, or if not. But you can kind of go and look at that and say, okay, well, that's a sensitive matter because you're basically showcasing someone taking the life of somebody else. But because of the overall storyline of what this attraction is, I can understand why it would fit.
Yes,
You know,
I
in the
understand.
attraction.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And here's the other thing too. It's like I get it. Like, and I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here. I understand that this scene might be triggering, but you have all these other theme parks that do these Halloween haunt events. Universal, Knott's, I think Six Flags does them. Way more gruesome, way more gory and crazy than anything we see here with this scene. You know, so it's like, you know, if I'm Disney, I'm looking at this going, well, it's like all of our neighbors, you know, Universal, Knott's, Magic Mountain, they can all kind of do this kind of thing. And, you know, why are we not allowed, or why are we, you know, I don't know.
And I think that's why, is because everyone again goes back and they see the name of Disney, and they see Disney as this wholesome family entertainment that should have higher value system than any other themed entertainment industry. But at the same time, you do that, then it kind of landlocks them from getting creative with things.
No, yeah,
because at the end of the day, when you do that, then every single attraction will be the same.
Well, you have, yes, and you can go through the whole park and find something that's going to offend somebody. My grandpa passed away. My grandma passed away. So is it insensitive to have dead people in this attraction? Ghosts? You know, I have family that passed away. Is that insensitive? Everyone has had somebody who they love pass away. So is just the mere presence of a ghost insensitive? Like, how far do you go with it? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's a tough one. It really is. But what do you think, Conductor? What are your thoughts on this, brother?
So to George's point, I first want to say, again, I feel with George, anyone suffering from a mental illness, you know, we're everybody, don't ever think you're alone. Don't ever do that. Always seek help. Always talk to someone, a loved one, something. Because you, like George is right. Your life means a lot more than you know at that moment. So don't go down that path. Always seek help. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel like you're alone, because you're not. There's so many other people dealing with the same sickness. It's sad that we have that, but it's something that we deal with. Now, to your guys' point about this scene, OG, you brought up the point, other theme parks, they're having way more gruesome stuff, right? For their Halloween events, whatever. So to that aspect, the Haunted Mansion has had this scene, as far as I know, all the way dating back to when it originally opened.
Yeah, okay? 1969, I believe.
Okay, 1969. Okay. You got Halloween Horror Nights, just to throw it out there as an example, right?
Yeah.
So, but before you know, you even enter the theme park where there's any theming aspect whatsoever, there's warning signs everywhere. So it's letting everybody that passes those know, hey, there's going to be stuff that's maybe offensive, maybe too scary, maybe too graphic, whatnot. Disneyland hasn't done that, and I don't think they should. Why sit there and do that for one attraction that's been around since 1969? Like George said, if people are going to easily get offended by something like that, and it's kind of a sad thing, then literally a lot of the money that Disney has proposed for future projects, a good portion of that's going to have to go through every single attraction and literally find the offensive elements, no matter what it is, and replace it with something. And I don't think that's completely necessary. Now, to your point, I was watching a video earlier. His YouTube name is called Offhand Disney. He did a video on this. So during the takeover event with Jack the Skeleton that takes over the Haunted Mansion, when you're going down that elevator scene, you have this screen type projection going on, and he even mentioned that it kind of looks cheap. So my whole thing is, if Disney's going to remove it, remove the hanging scene from that area, are they thinking about putting in some type of screen type scene? And if they are, how good is the quality going to be? Because we all know that if Disney, and again, I'm not just pointing out Disney, because Universal, all the theme parks do this at one point or another. If they want a quick fix that's going to satisfy the majority of the people to a point, but piss off a lot of other people, they'll go the cheap route. And I'm talking about all theme parks do this, not just Disney. So that it raises an eyebrow why they would even change that. Now, like they've changed ride attractions before, like Pirates of the Caribbean. There are rumors going around even to this day that there's still one skeleton head in that attraction that's human. Okay,
yeah, I heard that.
That's still going on to this day. So they retrofitted that ride majorly. Even what we're seeing with Splash Mountain turned into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, there were people complaining that there were scenes in Splash Mountain that were offensive. So it's like, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like George said, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have Knott's. They have a whole show called The Hanging, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so as a Disney fan, I do have a Disney bias. I'm not going to hide that. I absolutely am biased. But I'm looking at the landscape here and I'm going, okay, so Knott's can have a show called The Hanging and all these other things. But Disney is always kind of the one that has to kind of like get rid of their stuff.
It's the stepchild of the group.
Yeah, exactly. And that is kind of frustrating, because families go to Knott's too. Families go to Universal and Six Flags too. Like, why are they not? And I get it, like you were saying, George. Like Disney's a higher standard, but I tell you, to your point, Conductor, and whatever they replace it with, if they replace it, again, this is a giant rumor. We don't know if it's even happening, but if they replace it, okay, there's going to be a lot of backlash, absolutely. And the replacement, which I do think they will have something in its place, better be incredible. I mean, it better be mind-blowingly cool. Awesome effects.
I want something that actually like literally comes on and knocks people over, flings them across the room. I want to see cuts, bruises, blood, concussions. I want to see it all. Like I want people limping out of that mansion.
That's crazy.
Hey, they will survive it because they'll smell George's lasagna.
Yeah, exactly. But we got more to discuss, ladies and gentlemen. We're actually going to go over to Universal. I know, Universal Epic Universe. I hear tapping.
I'm hearing like a.
Is that me? Oh, hold on.
No, it was me.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm like, wait, is that I thought I heard like my either tapping or like my heartbeat in my ear or something. I'm like, wait,
that would be creepy.
Yeah, I thought it was those ghosts materializing.
Oh, maybe.
All right, so here we go. Now we talked about this in a video with Slimer and Webba, George, but now we have Conductor on. He's a huge Universal guy. I really want to get his take on this.
Yeah, fine, shit, whatever.
see, Conductor, he's still salty because you got a great beard.
Oh, that and the parade floats kind of got him on his last nerve. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a sour taste.
The Party City Minions float, George. Right. So here we go. Epic Universe. No single day tickets or park hopping at first. Now, again, this is, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go down to, I like how they just give you the bottom line. This is great. Attractions Magazine's on point here. It's the bottom line.
In bold.
In bold, Now, I want to preface this whole thing like I did the last video. Universal has not made an official announcement yet, okay? At the same time, this is more than a rumor. So it's kind of this weird middle, kind of, because what I say when it's not a rumor, this information was actually sent to third parties and travel agencies. So it's not just like a rumor. I mean, this is real information that was sent out. But Universal hasn't come out and officially announced anything yet. And from what we're hearing, there's going to be more information as we get closer to the opening of Epic Universe. So stuff can change. And considering the pushback that we're seeing about this announcement, I'm certain Universal is going to adjust this because they've been getting it. And usually people don't really get hard on Universal. I've been seeing people that are really pro Universal, just like saying like, you know what, I'm not going to go if this is what it is. So it's been crazy. So I'm expecting them to change it. Okay. But it's still interesting to talk about because clearly this is something that they're doing or they want to do because it was sent to the travel agencies. Here's the bottom line though, per Attractions Magazine in bold, bottom line. At launch, the only way to buy an Epic Universe ticket will be to purchase a multi-day Universal Orlando ticket with a 3-day minimum, with one fixed day allotted for Epic Universe. So you buy a 3-day ticket minimum. If you go 3 days or 14 days, you only get 1 day of Epic Universe, okay? And you can't, according to this, you can't buy a single day ticket. You can't just buy a ticket, I want to go to Epic. You got it, it's a bulk, okay? It's a 3-day minimum to get in there. You basically got to go to all 3 of these parks to do that, to get to Epic Universe. Now, I'm going to start with you, Conductor. My personal thing real quick, I think it's a mistake. I think they're trying to fix the cannibalization problem that they see coming a mile away, the cannibalization problem that we've seen coming a mile away here on the channel. Now, they do need to address cannibalization because I do think it's going to be a huge problem because they haven't really done a whole lot with the Studio Park and IOA. I don't think they've done enough where those 2 parks will hold its own really well against Epic. I think there's real problems there with cannibalization. But just because we have a problem with cannibalization doesn't mean that any solution is good. You know what I'm saying? You can have a problem, but that doesn't mean just any old solution is the right one. This is not the right solution, in my opinion. But Conductor, maybe you have a different take on this. How do you feel about this?
So the way I feel about it is, obviously, like you said, start right off the bat is Universal themselves haven't announced anything yet. Right. Okay, that's the main line right there. So things are going to change. Things are going to be edited. Things are going to be different. The way I see this, and tell me if I'm wrong here, the way I see this is meant obviously for the travel agencies because that's where it went to, but it's meant for the family coming out of state or out of the country to fly in, where it's going to be tied into not only the theme parks, but it's going to be tied into maybe their flight, maybe their hotel stay, maybe a rent-a-car, because that bottom line description, it's very vague to a point. So I don't know if it's baselining it more towards the vacation family and not so of like the Florida resident or someone that has a annual pass for Universal Orlando. Again, I think since Universal themselves haven't announced anything, I think personally things are going to change. I do think, like you said, OG, the Studio Park and then the other park, Islands of Adventure, they need to do more. Yeah. But hear me out on that. The way I see it is once Epic Universe opens, it's going to take a lot of, a lot of crowds away from those 2 parks because it's a brand new toy. Everyone's new to it. They want to go see it, want to explore it, see what it's all about. That will give Universal the time to maybe, fix some of the corrections they need to fix in the other 2 parks. And that's doing that.
Yeah, and I think that's the correct way to do it. I think where you well, in my opinion, I think the correct way to do it would be you allow the cannibalization to happen because it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like what you were saying, Conductor, you start to put money into these secondary parks. I feel with this 3-day minimum, they're sort of forcing you. Yeah. And it's kind of like in like relationships. I always like to use analogy, right? Sure. It's kind of like relationships, right? Like the more you chase somebody, right? the more they move away, the more they push you away, right? It's kind of like that. The more Universal sort of forces people into like, no, you got to do all three, or all three parks, 3-day minimum, yada yada yada. The more I think it actually has the opposite effect. I think it discourages people. I think people are going to go, you know what? Because look at 3-day minimum. What you're doing with that is you're basically asking people to cut their Walt Disney World vacation in half.
Sure.
For just to go to Epic Universe. Now, our family is going to be willing to do that. I just don't know. No. And what I think the issue and the risk that we have here, and again, they likely will change it. They got a lot of pushback with this, but the issue we have with that, it's a huge risk because you're assuming that people are going to want to go to Epic Universe so bad, they're going to forego that much of their Walt Disney World vacation. I don't necessarily see that being the case, and I think Universal is vastly overstating or overestimating the demand. Look, the demand I think for Epic Universe is high. I don't know if it's high enough where people are going to be like, you know what, forget Walt Disney World. We'll do anything to get into Epic. I'm seeing even evidence of it not being the case, even with the diehard fans. Like I've seen Universal guys and gals on Twitter who are like really, really like their accounts are dedicated to Universal. And they're saying, I'm not doing that. I'm going to wait until it's open as a single day. Now, again, caveat, this will probably change, okay? Because they got a lot of pushback for it, so we'll see. But it is interesting,
To add some before George goes is I think, and this goes along with Universal, this goes along with any theme park, when they do something like this, or they announce an attraction or something like that where either it's coming from the theme park directly and being put online for people to read, to understand, or in this case, it's going to third-party companies to try to throw it out there and promote it. I think these theme park companies nowadays, they have to really watch what they put online, because if they are not descriptive and they are not informative enough, people, obviously, like you said, people on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube that are diehard Universal fans look at this and they're like, no, I don't want to do that. No, I'm going to wait. And that kills off a lot of the fan base right there that is dedicated to Universal. That's why I'm saying all theme parks, and I've heard you both say it on your channel, OG, and past videos, these theme parks have to be held accountable. And the first way you look at accountability is putting the information that is accurate and that is very descriptive out there so people don't take it the wrong way. Because everybody nowadays has a smartphone, whether you're a kid, teenager, adult, older adult, elderly, doesn't matter.
Not me. I'm still using a beeper.
Okay, well, you don't count. But everyone, puts their own comment online on social, and it spreads like wildfire. Sometimes we've all seen it. Yeah, that's why theme parks have to be very descriptive on the information they put out there.
I'm glad you brought that up, Conductor, because Universal has a history, and it has usually worked for them to their advantage of not really announcing stuff. They wait till the very end to announce an attraction or anything, right? They don't usually do the Disney thing where they announce things like years in advance, right? And it has historically worked really well for Universal. I think in this case, the kind of the not announcing this, they're kind of allowing, like you said, Conductor, the internet to sort of fill in that void and sort of come up, find these pieces of information and come up with their own sort of answer to it. I think Universal, honestly, if I was on Team Universal right now, I would put the information out now. There's too much going on right now on social media with this, and not good stuff. I mean, it's been overly negative, I think, for the most part, mostly negative in regards to this news. I think Universal should get out in front of this, maybe Monday, even as soon as Monday. And these are the ticketing packages for Epic Universe when it opens, and lay it all out there. Because the longer you wait, the more fans are going to fill in the void and come up with, like you said, theories and assumptions, and based off the little things that we know.
So to add one more point, I'm sorry, George. To add one more point is, if they want to get ahead of it, why not bring let's say their media team, right? Their media team onto the local news or some of the news networks like ABC7. I don't know what's out in Florida, but the big networks, and come out and say, okay, this is the ticket prices, and release the information out there that way. That to me is like, okay, well, they're getting ahead of it. Instead of now putting it online again, but this time around now it's coming from Universal, so people are still like, okay, is this real? Are they still trying to test the waters on prices? What are they doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. What say you, George?
So here's my thing. Now, I don't agree with these notions at all. I think, honestly, Universal kind of shot themselves in the foot with this if these ticket implementations stand. So I'm only speaking just if they stand, if they don't get changed, what have you. But I'm going to kind of put myself in Universal's mind set of like what they could have been thinking when they initially thought of this. And what it looks like to me is not necessarily even looking upon Disney, but looking upon themselves. I wonder if Universal was looking at Epic Universe saying, whoa, this could be overly top crowded. Not saying that it would cannibalize Disney, but it would cannibalize within the own Epic Universe, not even the other parks, but within Epic Universe, where it's like there's so many people that want to come in that it's like, okay, I'll buy a 3-day ticket to do Epic Universe. Right. And it's like, oh, I'll buy a 1 day. Because say you can't get everything in 1 day. It's like people would just keep on coming. I don't know if Universal feels like in their own minds that it would just be so chaotic operational wise that they're thinking to say, okay, if we give them an incentive or a disincentive of buying a 3-day ticket to go to the other parks, because that we know no one is going to want to go there once Epic opens, because that way it'll allow the guest flow to kind of move in a rapid pace.
You bring up a great point. And this is what I'm saying too. The success of Epic Universe, I've been saying this forever, depends on people, right? Keeping what they currently do at Universal, the 2 parks, and adding Epic. But what we're seeing with the online fervor, we don't care about the other 2 parks. We just want to go to Epic. That doesn't bode well for Universal, because Universal wants you to be like Epic as an add-on. That's the whole point of it, to add another day, right? Mm-hmm. And people are saying, no, we don't care about the other parks. We just want to do Epic. That doesn't bode well. And I've been saying this from the beginning for years, literally years.
And this is why this is a perfect example. Now, I know Universal is in a completely different ballpark than Disney when it comes to adding another theme park. But this is why Walt Disney World does not need a 5th gate, because this is the same shit that Disney would have to be tackling with their current parks when you're adding a 5th gate, when you don't have enough in your current parks as it is. Now, I'm not saying that there's nothing going on in the studios or IOA, but really think about it. The last attraction that IOA really got was Diagon Alley, Escape from Gringotts. They got the updated of the DreamWorks land, but who the hell wants to do that? That's over in like the studios. They got the
Hagrid's.
Hagrid's Motorbike, which was 2019, Velocicoaster 2021. But it's bits and pieces up against an entire new theme park that in the Orlando area in 2 decades. You still have to put something in those other 2 parks to kind of offset, because that's what's going to happen. People have already done IOA how many times? People have already done the studios. They experienced it. They don't want to do it.
And that's the problem. And that's what I've been saying. Epic Universe will be packed when it opens. For a year or plus, it'll be packed. But if Universal can't add days to that vacation, how successful is Epic Universe? Now, this solution of forcing people into it is not the answer either. I don't know I don't know what they could do. I mean, really, the best thing they could have done was to prepare for this cannibalization and actually add stuff to the studio and IOA that would have actually kind of offset this cannibalization. They didn't do that though. They kind of let the other two parks kind of sit. Like you said, they had a few things here and there, but nothing major. You know what I'm saying? But it's kind of too late for that now though. So it's like, I don't know what you're going to do.
Well,
because, go ahead, conductor.
I was just going to say, it's like with Disney, what them talking about what's going to be on Thunder Mountain, and then they're talking about Animal Kingdom, that whole area. George is right. Does Disney really want to add a fifth gate, or do they just want to, capitalize on what they've already announced to people? And I agree. Being someone that is heavily towards Universal, but not hating Disney, but heavily towards Universal, I think they made a big mistake by putting that information out there. Mm-hmm. And the only way to redeem themselves is to say, no, we are not going to sit there and force people that do a 3-day, you have to buy a 3-day ticket package to enjoy Epic Universe for one of those days. They again, that's why I said, when it comes to theme parks, especially nowadays, when they announce information, it has to be pretty much dead on accurate. There is no there is no gappage in between that, because if you have gappage like what we're seeing here, then you got mass confusion all over the place.
Yeah, and what? Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and this. Oh, sorry. No, real quick, I was just going to say that. Yeah, the issue with this is that Universal didn't make an announcement, and this is information that Universal sent to the tribal agencies, and it got out. So it's like, I think Universal should have just laid it all out, and this way makes a mess, and and they can redeem it. I mean, they could with at least PR wise if they were to just lay it all out on Monday. I know on the weekend right now, whatever, but Monday morning, Universal just lay it all out there, give us every package, every ticketing deal, whatever you're doing on Monday, and just don't let the internet though speculate for almost a year on this. You know what I'm saying? You got to get out in front of it. But go ahead, George.
Just as the Bengals said, it's just another manic Monday.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But this is a great prime example, folks, that when people say, oh, how is Disney going to respond to Epic Universe? Why isn't Disney doing anything about Epic Universe? This is why Disney isn't doing anything to respond to Epic Universe. Because they know what is going to go down. They all work in the entertainment industry. Yeah. You don't think that they know what's going to go on? If Universal knows what's going to go on with the parks as to why that they're considering this ticket type, it sure as hell says what Disney knows, and that's why Bob Iger mentioned it. I believe it was on the one of the quarterly earnings. It was either the quarterly earnings or the shareholders meeting, when he said, I knew about Epic Universe. The company knew about Epic Universe for about a decade of what they were trying to configure. It's like, okay, but we had how many things in the pipeline. Now, again, he kind of shot himself in the foot with that statement, like his wording. But if you really look at it, when you know what the inner functions are going to go down with another company based off of something that is going to be a success, it's going to have its faults. It's going to have its blunders. Right. That's why if Disney is going to do something, they have to do it for themselves. It is not in the sense of, well, because Universal did something, oh, now we have to. Oh, if we do something, Universal has to respond. No, it's a healthy, healthy competition. You want that, but you have to do it in your own good time.
And you have to do it in your own timeline, and you don't want to be rushed into things. You don't want to be super reactive. This is what DC did, right? When the MCU was on fire, what did DC do? They rushed their cinematic universe out. All this, they released all these movies like Justice League and all that stuff, and it flopped. And audiences largely rejected it, except for Wonder Woman. Okay. Yeah. But it's like, but that's what happens when you get overly reactive, and you don't want to get in that mode. Now, you don't want to rest on your laurels either. So it is a little bit of it's a balancing act, like, we're not giving you a pass, Daddy Josh. You got to make some announcements at this expo. I mean, this is getting crazy.
Oh,
but,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to come through. But at the same time, when fans are like, Disney needs to respond. Disney needs to respond. It's like, well, let's cool our jets a little bit. Look, we're seeing here with Epic Universe, the demand for the other two parks, at least what I'm seeing on Twitter, compared to Epic Universe, people don't want to do all three. That's not a good sign for Universal when you're wanting to add another day to your resort. Disney knows this, and that's why they're not stressing out. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. We'll see how it all pans out. I do think, though, Universal needs to get ahead of this because the longer you let it marinate, that's an Italian food joke, George. The longer you let it marinate, it might not be so.
Well, see to your guys's comments, I want to share the screen real quick. This is for Hollywood. Let me share the screen real quick.
I got you, brother. I got you.
All right, hold on just a second. This is going with Hollywood. I don't know if you got okay. So this story. So Hilton put this out, I think, back in 2017, 2018.
Okay.
Now it's coming up again where they want to do the expansion to the hotel. And if many people don't know, the Hilton Hotel is literally not even 50 yards from the front gate of Universal Studios Hollywood.
Right.
So they're proposing a 395 guest room. This is the expansion right here. This is what it's going to look like. And it kind of looks like the oddball because you look at this and then you look at that. You're like, that doesn't look right, but whatever. So what we've been hearing from Theme Park Wizard, obviously Universal hasn't said anything. Okay. But from Theme Park Wizard, who's another great friend of all of ours, he's been hinting at and seeing the permits filed for a hotel that's almost not an exact copy, but almost a copy of one of the hotels being built for Epic Universe. So this gets to my point right here. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to put permits out there, okay, just on this aspect, if you're going to put permits out where people can find it and look for it and exploit it and report on it, you got to go forward with it. The same thing with Epic Universe with their media team. They made a ginormous, and I mean ginormous mistake giving this type of information to the travel agencies before they came with the announcement. What they should have done is the media team should have came out, announced the tickets, all the information, then at that point released it to the travel agencies. Instead, they reversed it, and now they shot themselves in the foot. And now it's going to take a lot of backtracking to try to fix it because people's heads are like scratching, like, what the hell is this?
No, exactly. Yeah, you're right. They should have announced it officially and then sent all this information out to the travel agencies. They didn't do that, and they honestly they shit the bed. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they really did. And I'm sure they'll rectify it. I'm sure they'll figure something out and they'll make an announcement and kind of make it. They'll finesse the situation. Sure. But it's been a bad couple of days for them. Go ahead, George.
Oh no, you're fine.
Oh, really?
No.
So, I had a comment. Go ahead, conductor.
It's all good. So I've never been to Orlando. One of these years I'm going to go. But from what it sounds like to me, Disney's still dealing with people wanting to go to Epcot, but not Magic Kingdom. So they're dealing with their own issues in that aspect.
Oh yeah,
so,
Disney World has a lot of issues. A lot.
So if you're gonna, like Epic Universe is coming out next year, if you're gonna release a whole theme park, a brand new theme park no one's ever seen, you gotta somehow update the other parks that you already have. Because like you said, no one's gonna want to sit there and spend half their, if they want to do okay, easy way to explain this. If a family of 4 goes out for 2 weeks out to Florida, right? 1 week they want to spend at Walt Disney World. The other week they want to do Universal. Okay. If they're taking some of the funding they dedicated for Walt Disney World, for example, and using it for Universal because of this ticket issue that they have at the moment. It comes to find out, it's like, okay, well, yeah, all the crowds are probably going to head all the Epic Universe, and then the other 2-3 parks that Universal has out there, they're going to be dead because everyone's already done all those attractions, already done all those shows. They don't want to sit there and pay for that. They just want to go to Epic Universe, and then maybe they'll go back to one of the other theme parks, but their main goal is to go to Epic Universe. And by them sitting there saying, oh, well, you have to buy a 3-day ticket, package, again, they shot themselves in the foot. And I don't know why they did that, because Universal, whether it comes from, I don't know too much about their media, but when it comes to like construction, and I'm going to push back a little bit on Disney on this aspect, Universal, when they announce something and it's concrete and it's not blue sky, they move on it. And the other aspect, Disney has a hard time building and constructing stuff, but when they release information, it seems like nowadays their information they put out is more accurate than Universal at this point. And Universal needs to readjust quickly to try to put that fire out. That's why I think.
Well said. Which brings us to our last and final topic, which is also Walt Disney World. This is a patent filing for Disney Patent's next generation water flume ride. Interesting. So it's kind of like a Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but next gen, basically. Mm-hmm. It showcases Moana style implementation. Disney has filed a patent for a next gen water flume ride system. More specifically, Disney describes a 2-dimensional guiding system that will allow a water-propelled boat to change points of view beyond the current forward locked view that a water flume ride currently presents. So this is kind of interesting, right? So they're basically, what they're describing here is kind of like you take Tiana's and you take Cosmic Rewind and you kind of smush them together and you get this Moana thing. So you're going down the flume, and this thing can change directions or how it's pointed, and you point you towards a scene. That's pretty cool. That's actually very, very cool. What are your thoughts on this, George? You actually brought this to my attention.
Mm-hmm. I think, honestly, if that's the case, it's genius. And that then now solidifies that the early concept art that Imagineer Chris Beatty brought to D23 when it was supposedly going into Dino Land, where now Encanto is going, you can kind of see that concept art of it being kind of a log flume type ride.
Right.
So, and that piece of concept art was more fleshed out than what the Beyond Big Thunder was at that time. So that tells me that this attraction was pretty much kind of like a locked in kind of notion, but they were just kind of feeling, okay, maybe we should put it in Animal Kingdom or what have you. But now, since they're putting Encanto, tying it up to with Indiana Jones, just because they're not placing Moana in that location does not mean that attraction couldn't go somewhere else. And I think I kind of have an idea, which I'm for sure a lot of people do, but I think Disney is eyeing that expansion pad to expand out Adventureland that's in between the Jungle Cruise and Pirates of the Caribbean, which actually that's kind of like my notion. I'm taking like Tiana's Bayou Adventure and the Shanghai Pirates and fusing it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, and Adventureland is really where Moana belongs. I think that's a perfect spot for her. Absolutely. And this flume technology this is something that you can utilize for other IP, not just Moana, So I'm kind of curious how they implement this with other IPs, right? And so we've seen with, for example, the Rise of the Resistance. That ride system was used for Star Wars, but also for Zootopia. I'm kind of curious what other IP they would consider for this.
Could they potentially lean into Pandora?
I mean, that's a possibility. We've heard rumors that they are going with the Shanghai Pirates system, but I don't really know. I mean, is that too far different than this, really? I mean, I know this is more of a log flume.
I think that's the difference. I feel like that the original concept for the main attraction for Pandora at Disneyland Resort, folks, because we still don't even know if it's going to go in DCA.
We don't know yet.
But is that it's supposed to be kind of a Avatar themed notion of how the Shanghai Pirates of the Caribbean is. But that's what it was. That's where it was stopped at. Where this seems like it's taking the Shanghai Pirates kind of ride system, but then you're going to add in a little bit more of an extra thrill to it by adding a kind of like a waterlog flume kind of drop
at the end. Yeah. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. What are your thoughts on this, Conductor, in terms of like you going the Tiana's route, but where you can actually turn the log to face certain scenes along the way and things like that?
I think it's absolutely genius. I think I'm actually glad that Disney filed this patent. My only criticism of it is, if it does come to fruition, is how can I put it? You know, if it's a water type attraction, right, and you're having the log or the ride vehicle, you know, twist and turn and kind of spin around the face certain scenes. Don't get me wrong, that's absolutely amazing that we might be looking at getting that. My only concern is, can they do it to a way where that the ride vehicles aren't overly complicatedly built? And what I mean by that is, because when you mix, I'm sorry to say it, but when you mix mechanical, you know, mechanisms, right, and you mix it with water, that's kind of concerning to me, because all theme parks, I again, this is not just a hit on Disney. Water and mechanics don't really mix too well. I don't care what ride it is. Hopefully they can build it correctly, but the way I see it is, they could have issues with the ride vehicles trying to, you know, spin around to look at a certain scene. It might get stuck in analog where it's just facing forward, like, you know, Tiana's or Splash Mountain or something like that. That's my only criticism about it, but everything else is absolutely amazing. I would really hope to God that we would get something like that in the States.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, you know, you bring up a great point, and Disney's had issues. You know, they've had issues with tech recently. The Florida Rise of the Resistance thing was bad. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a fair point. Like, okay, this is a great ride system, but you know, can you do it consistently? You know,
yeah.
So you know, that's interesting.
And to Conductor's point, they would have to configure all those issues out before opening it, because you would then have a situation of what they're dealing with Tiana's Bayou Adventure right now, but on a much grander scale.
Yeah, because it's a brand new attraction. The expectations are even higher.
Absolutely. And I would really hope to God, you know, going on Tiana's point for a second, when we eventually get a date for the Disneyland's version, correct? When we get a date for that, I really hope that they learned a lot from the Magic Kingdom, and I really hope that they test every aspect of that ride before they even allow press, before they allow, you know, people that worked on the attraction, especially to post pictures and videos. The D23 members, all, you know, before it opens to the general public, I would really hope to God they go thorough with that attraction, and they check out every little aspect imaginable, because I don't think they want another Walt Disney World Tiana Bayou Adventure situation. I really don't.
I think they will, but even adding on to that, they may not necessarily have to in that sense, because for some reason, I don't know why, I just feel like Disneyland's was going to move much smoother regardless. I feel like that this ride was made for the structure built of how Splash Mountain was at Disneyland, and they kind of just tossed it in Walt Disney Worlds, and I feel like that's where the issues pretty much.
Yeah, we talked about a lot, and I'm on that same kind of train of thought as well, George. I think that's why you see the big gaps of nothingness in Florida's version, because they have a bigger building. So when you order, how many animatronics was it? Like 40 or something like that?
40 or 45, I believe.
Yeah, like 40, we'll say 40 plus, right? 40 plus animatronics for what would fit Disneyland Splash Mountain. You spec that out for Disneyland's Mountain. Well, when you try to put that same amount that would fit Disneyland's just fine into a bigger mountain, it's going to look a little more sparse, whatever the word is, right? It's it's like taking your furniture, your apartment, the furniture in your apartment, and moving it into a bigger house. You're not going to have enough. It's going to look really bare in some areas. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think happened. I think you're right, George. It was designed for Disneyland.
But
really quick, OG, I just have to say, I love your
analogies.
Your analogies of how you tie the Disney parks to basically HGTV.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much. The thing that I do see with Walt Disney World's version, though, with it being a bigger mountain and whatnot, that gives Walt Disney World the opportunity to add new elements to that version,
right?
Where it's not going to be the exact same thing as Disney. So in a way, yes, it was kind of frustrating they did that. They shouldn't have left Splash Mountain alone. But since they did turn it into Tiana's, and they do have, gappage every so often in that ride at the Walt Disney World, it gives them the opportunity to add more, which I'm not opposed to.
Absolutely.
Compared to Disneyland's.
That's a fair point. I like that. Silver lining. Absolutely. Gentlemen, fantastic conversation. George, you showed a lot of chest hair in this one. Fantastic. The ladies will thank you in the comments, I'm sure. George, if you could let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me Sticky Icky. And you can also find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There it is. There we go.
That was perfect. We got a new sticky drop for George, and we've been premiering it in all the videos. One more time. Come on. There it is, Mr. Sticky. There he is, Conductor. And I'm working on yours, Conductor. We got to get you a drop, absolutely. But Conductor, if you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media and kind of what you do over there at Theme Park Conductor. Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me at Twitter, known as X, on Theme Conductor. And a little bit of what we do here is on Thursday nights at 7 p.m., I do my Conductor Thursday live stream where I basically talk about some topics, around the theme park world, mainly Universal and Disney, and a little bit of knots. And, we talk about those topics a little bit, and then we go into like a Q&A session. So if people have questions, concerns, they want to know something that's going on that they might not know, I'm here to provide that information. That goes for all of us on YouTube as content creators. We want to, basically be the silver lining to information to provide for everybody in the community, so that way they're aware. That I think that's the most important thing, and also to grow my beard out a little bit more to piss George off. That's my goal too.
Exactly. George, he's stepping it up, bro.
Got some competition.
Hey, I might even have to make a lasagna and really piss him off.
There you go. Hey, you know what? Yeah, Conductor, you know what'll really piss him off? Wear a V-neck, show a little chest hair, bro. Next time.
Oh, heck yeah, I'm doing
it. But everybody, follow Conductor. He's a friend of the channel. We love Conductor. It's always fun having him on, and we're always active on his theme park theme park conductor live chats. We're going to make appearances on that channel and everything. So make sure you subscribe to him so you can be the first one to know when the OG team is over there on that channel. Webba was just there like a week ago, Mr. Webba. So yeah, we do make appearances there all the time, or we're going to make appearances there all the time. But thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining today, talking shop with us. We did the Epic Universe thing. We did the Haunted Mansion thing, the Moana patent thing. Great conversation. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG 55.